Hello, welcome back to Talking Giants, brought to you by SeatGeek. Today is November 19, 2025, and we had Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post on. It became like a running joke on this show that I was going to have a beat reporter on. I'm going to have a beat reporter on. I would say it at the end of every show. Well, finally, I bothered Ryan Dunleavy. I did it. Nobody was fired. No extracurricular activities this week where I didn't want to bother people, and now we did it. A nice 47-minute conversation, obviously, on the Giants at head coach, Joe Schoen's future at GM, even like the Giants' thinking and their rationale as to why they want to keep Joe Schoen. Talked about like the technology in the building and how Joe Schoen has modernized the building and how that doesn't fully make sense. And also like we don't really fully know what that looks like. And Ryan Dunleavy has asked people questions on what does that process look like. Even talked about Jaxson Dart at the end, just like who he is as a person a little bit and as a competitor, and even Dexter Lawrence, which I thought was an interesting conversation as well. So hope you enjoy. Want to thank everybody. Want to thank you for listening. The Giants are a bad football team right now, but Talking Giants is still doing really well. I'm happy with where we're at this point in the year, so I'm really thankful for you listening. I'm really thankful that you're enjoying what me and Sean are doing, and then especially even some of the different stuff that I'm doing in the middle of the week as well. Why don't you like the video? Why don't you subscribe to Talking Giants on the podcast app? Subscribe on YouTube if you're listening on our audio. Why don't you hop over to YouTube, give it a like. It's free, and it would help out a lot. And I appreciate you guys, and I'm pumped up, and I love you guys. And want to know what I love too? I love Gymshark. It's a new sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Gymshark. Gymshark, they got their Black Friday sale. It's live right now. Gymshark is the brand for every type of workout, lifting, running, you name it. And rest days matter too. I've seen a lot of people wearing Gymshark even on their comfy days and their off days. They've got fits that are comfortable and look good when you're off the weights, at the game, or hitting the couch, designed for performance and comfort, whether you're crushing reps or just hanging out, because Gymshark has got your back. And guess what? They're kind of like the brand. They're kind of like the workout brand, the activewear brand, which is kind of cool. So you should head to gymshark.com and use code JOHNBOY20 to get 50% off site-wide with an extra 20% off today. November 19th only, but don't worry. As any day after that, you can still use code JOHNBOY10 for an extra 10% off. Perfect time to grab your gear to slim down or rest up or during the off or holiday season. Gymshark, you're the best. You want to know who also is the best? Ryan Dunleavy. I almost had it. Don't even edit it, Jeff. Don't even edit it. Let the people live. Let me live with the mistake to the people. You know who also is the best? Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post. All right, welcome back to the show, and I want to welcome in Ryan Dunleavy, NFL reporter for the New York Post. Ryan, not really related to the Giants to start, but I also do like to remind people that you are an NFL reporter, not necessarily just a Giants beat reporter. You cover the Jets, you cover the NFL as well. So I do want to give you a Jets trivia question, because I was doing, I do JM football stuff. I do like voiceovers, and I'm trying to embrace being like an NFL storyteller this year. And was coming along this stat. Do you know how many turnovers do you know how many turnovers the Jets have forced through their first 10 games this year?
I do. One.
Which is nuts.
The Giants last year set the NFL record, right? By going, 10 or 11 straight games without an interception. And I thought, wow, I'm never going to see anything like that again. And then I realized I cover mostly New York football, and it took me less than 300 days to see something even crazier, which is whatever it is now, 11 games with one total takeaway.
And
it's not an interception.
Right.
It's not an interception, right? It's a fumble.
Yeah, they fell on a fumble. Andre Cisco fell on a fumble against the Broncos, and then the Dolphins put the ball on the ground a couple times. And if you watch So then I'm just figuring this out now live here. So then the Jets must have matched the Giants record. Yes.
Right? They must have matched for consecutive games without an interception. I think it was 11, right? So
yeah, they need one more.
One more to match it, or they're already at 11?
No, well, they had a bye week, so they have 10 games.
So they're 2-8. Okay, so they can match the Giants record this year.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you know the other team? There was one other team going back 30 years. There was one other team that had one turnover forced in their first 10 games. Do you know who it is?
It's probably the Jets or the Giants.
No, it's not. It's not. It's a tough trivia question. The 1996 Atlanta Falcons. And do you know the record for the lowest amount of turnovers forced in a season by an NFL team?
I'm gonna say less than 5, so I'll say 4.
It's 7 by the
Okay.
2018 San Francisco 49ers. So the Jets are chasing history. They
Okay.
need to get to 7 to tie it,
Okay.
or 8 to not be in the history books.
I think that's the team the Giants broke their interception streak. So,
Maybe
oh no,
like
that
that.
was the Raiders. That was the Raiders. So yeah, um, yeah, New York football's bad.
New York football's bad. How are you doing?
Good, better than New York football. Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Tired.
man. Where do you want to start? There's Abdul Carter making a habit to show up late to meetings, what their approach to head coach is. Half of Joe Schoen's top 100
Yeah.
picks right now, are like half of Joe Schoen's top 100 picks right now, like through his first 3 years. We're entering into that year 3 territory too. Are either unplayable or entering unplayable territory. Cam
Mhm.
Skattebo is even fighting WWE wrestlers. Where do you want to start?
I guess, my favorite. Yeah, let's start with the newsiest. I guess we'll start with Cam Skattebo, though I don't have much. I'm just sending the Giants an email to see if they're okay with it, but my guess is that they are because I think that's their director of player engagement with the group. So I'm assuming it was a team sanctioned event. So I don't think they're gonna have had a problem with it.
Even the
But
shoving?
we'll find out. We'll fi- we'll find out, I guess.
I don't really
We'll
care.
find. I mean, put it this way: it's not really a big deal until like we find out in January that he had a setback, and then we all want to figure out if the setback is related to the
Right.
time he got shoved at WWE. So, uh, if nothing happens, it's not a big deal, but it could be a big deal in hindsight if that makes sense.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the hot story just this week, the flavor of the week of what's going wrong with the Giants this week, it's now like a lack of accountability. Now I
Correct.
think around the building and with the new staff coming in, most likely, I think it is going to be, it is a little irrelevant, but we are living in it right now, right? I think the lack of accountability, I think it even starts up top. Like, I know the conversation is happening at the player level, but it starts at the top where poor performances have become accepted and okay. And there are even doubts even before this year, that if the people in their current positions can do the job, yet there are still no repercussions with this regime, whether that be with the head coach, the GM, the defensive coordinator, even
Fair.
heading into this year. So if the leaders of this organization are not held accountable, certainly it is not a surprise that the players are not held accountable, right?
I think that's fair. I hadn't really thought of it like that, but I think that's fair. I mean, Joe Shane's not loved in the locker room. Brian Dable was liked in the locker room, but mostly because he went out of his way to be such a player's coach. You know, short practices, not physical practices, whatever. The stuff that now falls into the accountability box that used to fall into the player-friendly box when they were winning. So I think that's probably fair. I think that Joe Shane has forced a lot of his busted draft picks onto the field, and I think Brian Daboll has only really ever criticized Daniel Jones and Graham Gano, and so publicly, and so I think once that year over year over year happens and 2-8 and 2-8 and 2-8 gets accepted, I do think there becomes, whether it's spoken or not, a lower standard in the building.
Yeah, where you mentioned that, like, Joe Schoen is running out those draft picks. I the thing that's now going through my brain, now that Kafka's the head coach, now that you have two different head coaches this year, and you would think that Kafka is going to want to take things in a different direction. One of them maybe being who is on his football field, like what players are lining up for him. As we've looked at it's kind of crazy that the second that Paulson Adebo gets hurt and Deonte Banks is thrusted back into this full-time-ish role, that the season has just gone to complete crap. The season has gone to complete crap. and running out there Jalen Hyatt because you ran out of elevations for Ray McLeod, little Jordan Humphrey, and so Jalen Hyatt has to line up out there with the
Yeah,
lack of
I
depth.
don't know if it's that they ran out. Like, I don't mean to interrupt, Justin, but I don't know if it's that they ran. Like, those guys didn't impress them. So,
Right.
like, I mean,
But
look,
they're better than Hyatt,
I
right? They're
killed them
better
for
than
a lot.
Hyatt.
Yeah, I killed them for a lot of things. Those guys didn't like. I'm not gonna kill him for losing little Jordan Humphrey. He played 73 snaps against the Broncos and wasn't. I don't even think he was targeted. So,
Right.
like, it's not like they've screwed up plenty of roster management things. I don't know that like he wasn't going to play again. Like there was no need to put him on the active roster because he wasn't doing anything. So it's like, okay, let's find the next guy. Give him 3 elevations. If he doesn't work, then we'll find the next guy.
Right.
The problem is the third guy they turned to should have been the first guy they turned to, Isaiah Hodgins, and everybody with a microphone or a season ticket knew that Isaiah Hodgins should have been the first guy, and that took them forever to do. That's the problem. Not that they lost, not that they were playing Hyatt over 2 other guys who are equally impactful to Jalen Hyatt.
But even giving Hyatt a roster spot when there's been so much doubt on if he can play, they've given him so much runway over the last 2 summers of trying to be a starting wide receiver
Yep.
when the depth chart is all right and good and when things are healthy, he doesn't see the field. Like, my overall question is, whose decision do you think that is? Like, is that a Joe Schoen thing, or is that like a coaching who is supposed to be responsible, kind of like for at least the active game day roster? Like, who do we get angry at?
The way it's been explained to me is the coaches, the roster is put together by the front office.
Right.
The coaches play determine the depth chart and the snap counts, and that the ultimate example of if you want to suspect that that's not the case is Jalen Hyatt, because the front office would love to have seen, at least up until this week, more Jalen Hyatt, and he was not playing because the coaches did not trust him. So it has been explained to me that he is the ultimate example of like if the front office was dictating playing time, Jalen Hyatt would have been out there above little Jordan Humphrey, above um, Ray McLeod, above some of the guys last year. Like he would be playing more if the front office was dictating playing
Yeah.
time. Why he has a roster spot? Because the front office is dictating the 53-man roster.
Yeah. And that even goes back to the lack of accountability for me too. It isn't just are you attentive in meetings? There's no consequences for poor play. Where Deontay
Well,
Banks,
that was Brian Daboll. I mean that was
yeah,
Brian Daboll. That's Brian
right,
Daboll in a nutshell. There was no consequence for Abdul Carter being late to things all the time. There was no consequences for mistakes on the field. He never benched players. There's no consequence for lack of effort until it became so egregious that they had to bench Deontay Banks. And then at the end of the season, who paid the price for it? Deontay Banks? No, he was in line to start again with Cordell Flott. Who paid the price for it was Jerome Henderson, who actually had the guts to hold Banks
yeah.
publicly accountable. And what did he for doing that, for trying to light a fire under the guy publicly? He lost his job. So no, I would say the lack of accountability in terms of playing time and depth chart and snaps is all on Brian Daboll.
Yeah. So I think it's clear that they're going to look for a more CEO type head coach in this search.
But I do want to make one thing clear, Justin, before he changed to CEO type coach.
Yeah.
I've said this before. I want to say it again. I've said it everywhere I've been, so it's only fair I say it to your audience too. In the 8 days since Brian Daboll has been fired, they've done 4 things that fans and coaches and media have been screaming for, that had just made sense. They just made sense. You didn't need a source to tell you them. They put Jameis Winston ahead of Russell Wilson. They brought back Isaiah Hodgins, and they banished Graham Gano and Evan Neal. Whether you cut them or put them on season-ending IR, you're never going to see them play for the Giants again. So, you can just take those 4 moves in 8 days one of 2 ways. Brian Daboll was blocking these moves. He was this obstacle to change that like everybody could see needed to happen, and Brian Daboll was blocking it. I do not buy that for 1 second.
Yeah, I don't either.
Based on how he felt about Russell Wilson, how quickly he made that change. He was not advocating for Russell Wilson, so therefore he was certainly not advocating for Jalen Hyatt because he wasn't playing him. So I have a hard time believing he didn't believe in Isaiah Hodgins because that's who won him a playoff game, basically. So Evan Neal's lack of development forced him to fire Bobby Johnson, one of his best friends in the business. So I have a hard time believing Brian Daboll was the obstacle. So then you have the other option, option B, which has two offshoots, which is either one, the Giants are just throwing a pound of flesh to their fans. Like we know you're angry, we know you're disappointed, we know you're flying planes. Like, let's just give you exactly what you want. And these are four easy moves that we know will make people happy. That's offshoot number one of Section B. Offshoot number two, which is sinister, is like they're setting it up to look like Brian Daboll was the obstacle to all those things. I don't like that. I hope that's not true. I hope it's just the chum in the water, pound of flesh one, because it is very, very suspect that all of a sudden all these common sense moves are happening. Okay, now on to the coaching staff.
Onto the coaching staff. The crazy thing is that I think there are vindictive people in that building, and they do things out of spite. And but like Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll are buddies, so why didn't they try to make it work together and all this kind of shit? Like if Gettleman fired Judge in the middle of the season and then did all this stuff when I don't think they got along.
Gettleman and Judge were doing vindictive things to each other.
Yes. So yeah. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. They don't make sense. We know that. But thank you for bringing that up because I definitely wasn't going to ask in that direction. So I'm glad you brought up those four things. So it feels like they're just going to bring in more of a CEO type head coach because I feel like this is how it goes. You know, even think about presidents and you elect the opposite of the other one, right? You know,
good example.
We're going with the offense. They've done this a couple times. We're going with the offensive coordinator and the little bit of a younger mindset. Well, now we want to go back in the direction of...
And it's not just the Giants who do that. Like every franchise. We want the offensive guy, now we want the defensive guy. We want the young guy, now we want the old guy. We want the hard ass, now we want the players coach. Like this is how every organization operates.
I want to ask this first before we get to the names and, you know, what type of guy are they going to look for? Are they going to cast a wide net? Because I think it's important to establish this. Who is actually leading this search for head coach Ryan Dunleavy?
Joe Schoen is leading the search currently for head coach. So, like, you can't talk to people who are employed by other organizations right now. Like, I'll just use Jeff Hafley as an example because he came to town. The Giants can't have a conversation with Jeff Hafley about the job, but they can have a conversation with Jeff Hafley's friends about Jeff Hafley. They can have a conversation with Jeff Hafley's old bosses about. They could call Greg Schiano and ask him about Jeff Hafley, you know? So I would say that stuff right now is being led by Joe Schoen and his lieutenants. When we get to January, I don't know. I don't know that they know. I don't know that they know yet who will. I don't know that Joe Schoen's job is as safe as it has been portrayed, and I believe Ian O'Connor from The Athletic was the first one to suggest that. He's very well tied into the Giants, so if he's saying it, I believe it. I don't know enough about the health of John Mara and where that will be in January. I don't know. I just don't know enough about where the Giants will be in January and who their leadership will be to know who will be like leading the interviews.
Yeah. All right, before we keep talking about Ryan Dunleavy, I got to talk to you about DraftKings because this episode is sponsored by our partners over at DraftKings. One touchdown can change everything. The crowd, the momentum, the game itself, it never gets old. And feel that same rush with the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, where every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. With DraftKings Sportsbook, all the action's in your hands. First touchdown, any touchdown, live bets, every play, every snap, every game matters. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Thank you to DraftKings. And now back to the show. Now, do you think, this is your, you said you don't know, so I want to make that clear to everybody listening. So this is, what do you think? I've had this theory that I think it takes it takes a lot for an organization to go through an entire regime change where you are
Correct.
letting go of GM. I mean, think of what Joe Schoen brought into the building that Albert Breer and others have pointed out that John Mara likes so much.
Computers. He brought in computers.
But he
They love
modernized
it.
the operation, which I want to put a pin on that and ask you your opinion on that and what does that mean, right? What does that mean and get your opinion on that. But I've had this theory that I don't know, and I don't think they will go through an entire regime change knowing what's going on with John Mayer. What do you think, or do you even not want to even speculate on that right now?
Yeah, I don't want to speculate on John Mayer's health. I just know from my past is that John, John, fiery, blustery, you know, organizationally sound John Mara does not like whole regime changes
Yep.
because it means that you have to fire all your scouts and fire all your, you're fire basically firing everybody.
Yep.
And maybe you keep one or two people. And uh if you're it's not about the bill. It's not about I want to make that clear. It's not about the bill of owing these people. It's about now you have to learn all new systems and he has to get used to all new personalities and like it's just a total, you have no stability whatsoever. It's one of the reasons Dave Gettleman stayed after Pat Shermer was fired.
Yep.
And even though he didn't deserve to at that point. So it's one of the reasons Jerry Reese stayed through as many bad seasons as they had when Tom Coughlin resigned. So yes, I would say even in their top shape, the Giants don't like that. So I would think if you ask me what Joe Schoen has going for him, the number one thing he has going for them is that the Giants like stability. Nothing he's actually done, just that the Giants like stability.
But Shane, he has gotten credit, and I have my opinions on this, but reporters, national reporters, and especially the guys that Joe Schoen likes to catch up with the combine and the Senior Bowl, and I see it with my own eyes.
I didn't say that.
I said that. Joe Schoen has gotten credit for modernizing the operation that is the New York Giants, and that goes far beyond the player picking part of the GM job. So what are your thoughts on that? And then also, besides computers and technology and modernizing the draft
I don't
room,
know.
has there been any analysis done on what that looks like inside the organization?
Not really. Over the years, I've tried to get like inside access to like that kind of story, like how they're using analytics more is a big thing Joe Schoen gets credit for. But I don't know that's just a buzz phrase. Like I don't
Yeah.
know what that I've asked, like, can I get a peek at the how you guys use analytics? I sit with Cade Knox or whatever. It doesn't get you anywhere. And that's probably most organizations. They don't want to, spill their secrets, but usually winning organizations have secrets to
Yeah.
hide. I don't think people are dying to copy the Giants' secrets right
No, not
now.
really.
But yeah, no, I really don't know the answer to that. Like, yes, to your point, he gets a lot of credit for modernizing the like I like before they were using like magnets, I think, under Dave Gettleman for like the draft board, and I think he like, digitized it or whatever. Like some other 45-year-old GM is going to be able to figure out the Giants technology. You're not walking into Fort Knox here. Like some other guy will be able to figure out what Joe Schoen has set up. So um, I don't put much stock into that, but I do respect that the Giants were way behind the time with Dave Gettleman and Joe Schoen has modernized it. That is true. I just don't think he's modernized it to some level that only Joe Schoen, he's taken the passwords with him and no one's going to be able to figure it out.
Right. All right. So,
I mean, we all remember Dave Gettleman at home during that draft with the like
ironically enough,
stackable.
Ryan,
Yeah.
ironically enough, I will take the 2020 Giants off season every single year.
Yeah. So my point is like, yeah, he has done that. I just don't think, you know, I just don't think that's much more than like if you started like if you started teaching your grandfather how to use an ATM card.
Yeah.
Like,
If we allowed Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge to work with each other, except from home, think of how different everything would be.
Yeah.
That's the answer. All right, so head coaching candidates looking for more of a CEO type. The names that have been thrown around, a lot of ties with the
Okay.
Giants and things like that. What are
So
your thoughts on some of the names that are being flirted out there?
Okay, so I do think they're looking for a CEO type, and I do think they would like experience. So
Me too.
that I guess puts Mike McCarthy squarely in the box. I do think there's a couple guys who could be fired this year who go straight into the box, Kevin Stefanski and Zach Taylor. Um, I do think they go straight into the box. Um, if somehow Mike Tomlin or John Harbaugh shakes free, they go right to spot number one on the list. Then you enter into the equation. Would those guys want to work with Joe Schoen, or would they want to bring in their own guy, a la Liam Cohen? Uh, so uh, I think those are, you know, they might be stretches or whatever, but they're fun names to talk about.
Yeah.
So that then we get to coordinators. And it doesn't mean a coordinator can't be a CEO type, who's never a guy who's never done it before can't be a CEO type. Okay. It does. The guy I would say is somewhere right now between higher than slight favorite, but not like odds on favorite is so like, I don't know, medium favorite. I'm not a gambler. I don't know what that means, but like, you know, noticeable favorite would be Lou Anarumo. Like he is gonna check a lot of boxes for the Giants. They already know he's a good interviewer because they've had him in when they hired Dayball. So um, he's a former Giants assistant. He's from Staten Island. His son's a pro scout. He has a lot of people who are fans in the building, and I've said that I've written this before. I'll say it here. There's a situation that could have developed last offseason under certain circumstances where Shane Bowen joined Mike Vrabel's Patriots staff, and the Giants tried to lure Lou Anarumo to Brian Daboll's staff as defensive coordinator. Never really got off the ground because Lou went right to the Colts from the Bengals, but there is a situation where that could have happened, and then Lou would probably be the interim head coach right now. So, um, I think that he is somewhere between. He's going to check a lot of boxes for the Giants. I do think um, Jeff Halfley would check a lot of boxes for the Giants. I think if he gets into a interview room, he'll get a second interview. I think he's that. I've been around him a little bit. I know I covered Rutgers when he was a young
Hmm.
assistant. He is an impressive dude. Jersey ties, CEO vibes. Even though he's been a head coach at Boston College, so that kind of checks the head coach box. And we know the Giants have a lot of ties to Boston College. Um, John Mayer's undergraduate school, Tom Coughlin. Um, so uh, then you get to the Jay Glazer list. And anybody who wants, I can't even believe I have to say this, but anybody who wants to be like, Jay Glazer doesn't know what he's talking about. Jay Glazer is one of one when it comes to insiders.
Yep.
He told you on the Fox broadcast that he talked to Joe Schoen. He didn't spur sources. Like, he told you. I picked up the phone and the GM called me and we talked about these people. So that's a real list. It might not be an inspiring list, but that's a real list. So, like Matt Nagy, the Jets brought him in, I think. There was a lot of talk that the Jets might hire him last year. Uh, he's a guy who's probably going to get a second chance in the NFL. Um, who else was on? I'm trying to think of who else was on. Anarumo was on that list. Uh,
Steve Spags.
Spags was on that list. He will definitely get an interview. Of course, he'll get an interview and he'll probably pitch Antonio Pierce as his defensive coordinator. And anybody who wants to um, tug at the Giants' heartstrings, that'll be a popular choice. To me, they should get as far away from the past as possible. Um, Spag's a nice guy, but I Hall of Fame coordinator. But I think uh, I would not hire him if I
Yeah.
was the Giants. Maybe
The
somebody else, but I wouldn't go back to the Giants' past.
yeah.
Um, there was another experienced head
There
coach on there
was, yeah,
before.
and it's Arthur Smith is the name
Arthur
that he
Smith
brought up.
again. Might as well be Matt Nagy. I mean, I like Sure, I guess. I don't know much about Arthur Smith, to be honest. I know Aaron Rodgers loves him, so
Yeah.
um, I don't know much about him. I guess, do your due diligence. Doesn't inspire me any more than Matt Nagy does. I would put Matt Nagy and Arthur Smith into the Pat Shurmur category of like, okay,
Yep.
they're an adult. Um, but
The last name is the one
correct,
that Glazer went on for the
Chris
longest.
Shula,
Yeah.
That they went on for a while about that. I don't know his ties to the Giants. The fact that he might not have any actually intrigues me. Um, I would be very interested in. I would shoot anybody from the Sean McVay list to the from the Sean McVay tree to the top of my list. Especially somebody who's McVay's best friend and college roommate and in on all of McVay's meetings. Sure, I would put him right. I would shoot him right to the top of the list. Uh, Don Shula's grandson. I guess there's probably a lot of respect between the Dolphins and the between the Shula family and the Mara family. Um, sure, I would put him right to the top of the list. And then he wasn't on his list. I was surprised because I do think he will be a real candidate is Jesse Minter, who would be able to bring back the Wink Martindale system that everybody's clamoring for. Um, Somebody who knows him said he would have a Mike McDonald like effect on the Giants. That's the Seahawks coach who has,
Yeah.
sparked the Seahawks. Um, so he's got some ties in the Giants building. So I think he would jump right to the top of the list. I think at one point, I think Dable was interested in hiring him. I don't know if he ever interviewed. You probably have the list. I don't. Did he interview when Bowen got the job? I don't know if he interviewed, but he was certainly somebody Dable was interested in.
Yeah, the
Just
main guys that I think they interviewed were Denard Wilson, Bobby Babich, and then Shane Bowen. But I'm not sure if Jesse
they interviewed
Minter.
eight guys, but they interviewed eight guys.
Right. Yeah.
So I, um, Weaver, I think, was on that list. So I know Minter was interested. I don't know if I know the Giants were interested in Minter then. I don't know if they ever interviewed him. Probably not because he was tied to Harbaugh. So, um, so I think he's a candidate. And so now that leaves me with two thoughts, which are most of the guys we just named are defensive guys. Uh, Halfley, Minter, Shula, Lanarumo, and I'm okay with that. I don't care. Tell me where you stand. I don't care about the idea like, oh, we have a young quarterback, we have to hire the next offensive genius. I don't care. I don't care. Like you need to hire the best coach, and if that's a defensive coach, then you just bring him in and you ask him who his offensive coordinator is going to be, and you see if you like those names, and you don't force a Jason Garrett type on them. Uh, so I would be very interested in that. Anybody from the Sean McVay tree should have a
Yes.
million offensive coordinators.
Yes.
Um, so that would interest me. So I'm not obsessed with that. I actually kind of like the idea of a Giants defensive minded head coach. I think that there's a lot of talent on this defense, and maybe the defensive minded head coach could get more out of it. So I kind of like that. And then my two thoughts are just again, I'm going to say this before and after I'm done speaking. I don't know anything. This is me doing what you could do or anybody could do, which is going down the oh, if they're going to hire Shula, I wonder who he'd bring with them. And going down the Rams coaching tree,
Yep.
coaching list, coaching staff, and then if they're going to hire Anarumo, who could he bring with them? And looking down the coaching staff, and I wonder if they brought Shula, if he would bring back Drew Wilkins, who's basically Wink Martindale light. Uh, I wonder if they'd bring him back as defensive coordinator to run the Wink Martindale system. And when I looked at Anarumo and the Colts, I wonder if they would bring back as offensive coordinator
Give it to me.
former Giants quarterback.
Davis Webb?
No, he's with the Broncos. Replaced Eli Manning on Eli Manning's
Oh,
final snap.
Alex Tanney?
Passing game coordinator for the Colts.
Oh, wow.
So I have no idea but I have no idea. But my point is, Tanny and Anarumo were with the Giants together in 2018. and he's now the pass game coordinator. And similar to Sean McVay, anybody who has touched Shane Steichen right now, I would like to talk to because what Shane Steichen's doing with that offense and
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is remarkable.
Yeah.
So, if Lou Anarumo told me Alex Tanney was on his offensive coordinator interview list, I'd be interested. Never called a play. I haven't talked to him since he left here. I think I saw him at the combine one year. But like, if he's in the Shane Steichen tree, that interests me. And he obviously knows what New York and the Giants are. And then, yes, to your point, I don't know who, any of these guys who know Davis Webb, but Davis Webb would certainly be on my short list. I think he's going to be an offensive coordinator
Yeah.
somewhere next year. You're the ones who know him best. You've had him here twice. You should definitely be on his list. Now, I wouldn't force an offensive coordinator. Like, I'm not going to hire Jesse Minter and make him hire Davis Webb if they don't know each other, because that's how you get, this, like
Yep.
Wink and Dable. But I would love if somebody told me they had a relationship with Webb, Webb would jump to the top of my offensive coordinator list.
Yeah. All right, taking a break because we got to talk to you about Shopify. This video is brought to you by Shopify, and it's the best place, Shopify. The best place to start and grow a business, which is why we partner with them here at John Boy Media. John Boy Media has relaunched our merch store on Shopify with our new /line site, and it was a dream. We brought the ideas, and Shopify brought the execution. As you're shopping our new launch, check out what Shopify can do for you. Life really is a touchdown when you have Shopify on your side. Shopify Sidekick, Shopify Magic, and the suite of AI tools are a total game changer. It's revolutionizing the way you can build and manage a business. You'll have your own AI assistant guiding you on everything: directions, reports, editing images, content ideas. Shopify's got your next move covered. If you're ready to take that business idea from a draft to a reality, it's time to head over to shopify.com/giants. Shopify is the perfect partner for any business roster, so make sure that they're on yours today. And shout out to you if you commented on the last episode when I said, where does the term idea come from? Because a lot of you got it right. Thank you to Shopify. Oh boy, that was a lot. Do you feel like that's a wide, like we talked about a lot of defensive
Yes, it
guys.
should be a wide. One year they interviewed like 4 people or whatever. It should be like 15 people, like the Jets did last year and got poked fun at for interviewing like 18 people. The Giants should interview 12, 14 people. Yes.
Because I know that's been a criticism of them in the past, is that they've let there was a list that I'm sure like Research Rick or other people have tweeted out about like D'Amico Ryans and Shanahan and all these guys have interviewed kind of right under their noses.
Duggan tweeted it out. They had all the great coaches who've been hired since 2016 that they have not interviewed. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see. My attention turns to, and this is where we can. I do kind of want to ask. I want to ask about Dart, and I kind of want to ask about Dex. But my attention mainly lies right now on the future of Joe Schoen. So I will just ask you point blank: do you think Joe Schoen will be fired at the conclusion of the 2025-2026 Giants season?
I do not. I think stability matters to the Giants. I do not. I think Joe Schoen would be wise to have Mike Kafka win a few games here. And don't roll out Mike Kafka staying as the offensive coordinator either. Not as the head coach.
As OC. Okay.
Yeah, don't roll it. He's going to get a head coach. He's going to get a head coach interview. I don't think he'll get the job, but he's going to be someone's offensive coordinator next year. He's too highly regarded around the league. So maybe he'll stay for your offense. Maybe, he has young kids. Maybe he wants to stay here. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, he'd be wise to have Mike Kafka win some games here because Joe Schoen's main selling point is I built a talented roster that Brian Daboll couldn't get to win or Shane Bowen couldn't get to win.
Right.
So his main selling point would be to go 3-4 here, and Shane could say, see, if I had this the whole season, we'd be like a 9-win team or whatever. So stability, a strong finish, but more than anything, I think he stays. Obviously, I don't think he's done a good job. I've been extremely critical of him. His draft picks, I mean, the 2025 free agent class is like mind-boggling. Like, Adebo has been injured. Holland hasn't made a play. James Hudson got $12 million. He's a healthy scratch every game. Russell Wilson got $10 million. He's now the third string quarterback. And I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Oh,
Roy
Chauncey
Robert,
Golston.
Roy
Cha-
Robertson Harris, his
Chauncey Golston got 18 million. At least Roy Robertson Harris plays,
yeah,
and he was protecting Cam Skattebo at WWE.
yeah.
But
Golston's a good example too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. So I
Darius
don't.
Slayton.
Darius Slayton. Yeah. So it's a head scratching free agency
Yeah.
class.
I mean,
So
even half of his top 100 picks in his first, and now we're getting into the first three draft classes, the
are unplayable.
the highly talked about 2024 draft class. Drew Phillips has been horrible in coverage this year. Tyler Nubin is getting into this unplayable territory, and for whatever reason, ownership has somehow accepted, and Joe Schoen has convinced them that not only the 2022 draft class you kind of have to throw out the window, even though that's looking a little bit better.
You think the 2022 draft class is his best draft class?
Yeah, ironically enough, Cordell Flott's 24 years old on his contract year and is turning into a decent ball player.
He's a decent starter. Wan'Dale Robinson's a decent starter. Thibodeau's a pretty good player. He's not the number 5 pick, but he's a pretty good player. He'll play 12 years in this league. I actually, Micah McFadden's a good player. Like, I actually think the 2022 draft class is his best draft class.
But somehow he has convinced them that throwing out whatever happened the first 2 years, and this even includes free agency and the decisions that they made with DJ and Barkley and all that kind of stuff, he has somehow convinced them that the first 2 years of his regime should kind of be thrown out the window for whatever reason, which I would love to tell that to, I'm sure you would love to tell that to your boss, or I would love to tell that to my boss. If I had 2 years of poor performance, why it just doesn't matter. Yeah, man. All right, two more things. How's Jaxson Dart doing? Just in general. Like, I'm not even talking about his concussion or
I haven't had a conversation with him because you're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to talk to guys in the concussion protocol. So I've just seen him around the building. He's in and out of the locker room. He was on the practice field the other day. I think it's pretty standard concussion progression. Like, I kind of, before seeing them on the practice field, I kind of expect him to play this week. So I think he's okay. I'd love to hear his thoughts on them firing the coach who went to bat for him.
Yep.
And, but I don't know. I think he's progressing okay in the concussion protocol, and I think he's progressed well as a player. As a person, pre-concussion protocol, I love everything he's about. I love the accountability. I love the nothing's acceptable. I love the fieriness. I love everything he's about. I think he's going to be a megastar in New York. I do think he needs to be a little bit more selective on his runs. That's a hard thing to do. Daniel Jones never figured that out. We were asking Shea Tierney about it on Friday, and I said to Shea, we've been asking you these questions for 4 years. Daniel never figured this out. So Daniel was a bigger person, a sturdier body. So he does have to figure that out. I was curious about that ESPN report that kind of pinned it all on like Jaxson Dart's not listening. That was an interesting take. To pin it on the one good thing you have going for your franchise was an interesting take. So yeah, I mean, if I was a fan, I would be super excited about Jaxson Dart's future. That's pretty much the only thing I'd be clinging to right now.
Did that feel like it came from like a pro Dable staff
don't
member?
know. I don't know. Usually, look, I mean, the joke on the Giants beat is I spend half my day talking to my sources and half the day trying to figure out who everybody else's sources are. I'm like obsessed with that. So usually it's pretty easy to figure out, if not who it is, like, okay, it came from someone who's pro this or pro that or anti this or anti that. That one's a hard one. I have no idea who benefited from that report.
Yeah. It was strange. The timing of it too.
Yeah.
Like he's already in the protocol and we're in. Yeah. Okay.
And you already fired Dayball, so you're not trying to save Dayball.
No. I don't want him to lose that. Losing is unacceptable. And
Correct.
The fieriness. Because
Correct.
This losing here is a disease, Ryan. It's a disease, and it's infected people.
I will say this: Xavier McKinney was like that in the beginning, and I think by the end, Xavier McKinney had lost some of that. He had lost some of that. This is unacceptable. I think he had lost some of that.
I don't want him to lose it. Speaking of guys that I maybe have been infected by it, is there anything? Now, I know he had a really good game this past weekend against the Packers. I'm talking about Dexter Lawrence. Is there anything more that is going on with Dexter Lawrence outside of he's just not having like a dominant year?
If you were at training camp, and I know you were, he didn't seem like he was in the best shape. So the Giants didn't work him extremely hard in training camp, which might be why he wasn't in the best shape. So maybe it took him a while to get into game shape. He has denied that, time and time again. Um, he has said there was no lingering issues from his elbow injury. Most great players don't use injuries as an excuse. Some will then whisper the truth to you. He has not done that. So, um, he's not looking for an excuse. Uh, Although he does mention how often he's double teamed, but the stats kind of back that up.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to why he's not as productive. There's also stats that say he's playing less nose tackle than he has in the
Yep.
past. If that's true, then that's not a huge surprise because he wasn't a great player. He was a good player, but he wasn't a great player before he moved to nose tackle. Like his first 3 years in the NFL, he was just like a good player. Um, so if he's playing less nose tackle, maybe it's really that simple. That's what he needs to do to be a dominant player.
Yeah.
But he's played 3 or 4 backup centers, and the other day was the first time he totally dominated somebody. Um, so I don't really know the answer to that. I do know that if I was on Giants watch, I would be wondering when he runs out of patience. Like I asked Andrew Thomas this the other day. I was like, it's your prime. You're a great player.
Yep.
Like, is there some frustration here in like another losing season, another fresh start next year? And he just said, like, I control what I can control or whatever. He's been injured a lot. I don't know that he's the type to like try to force his way out. Dexter Lawrence, between his contract not meeting where it should be,
That's where I'm mainly thinking, Ryan.
between a lot of losing, he's compared what he does every game to being in like 50 car crashes day. So he's certainly got to be worried about his long-term health. Um, he's going to start over now with another coaching staff. He reveres the Giants, like he wants to be in the Ring of Honor. Then that Carl Banks thing happened. I wonder if that was like,
Yep.
maybe the Ring of Honor isn't so great.
Yep.
Like, I don't know. Like,
Seeing what all your teammates
I
are
have
doing when
no
they
in
leave.
yeah, seeing what people do when they leave. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I have no inside information on this whatsoever. Disclaimer. That said, I will be on a Dexter Lawrence trade request watch this offseason.
Yeah.
Don't know. Might not happen, but I just laid out a lot of reasons why it could happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it might not be the worst. It honestly might not be the worst thing for the Giants.
If he's not going to play.
If Quinn and Williams get you a 1 and a 2, then it might not be the worst thing for both sides.
Yeah. I go back to that, Joe Schoen, and I viewed it at the time as like, oh, this is like a good thing by the Giants because I thought that Dex was just going to continue to ascend as a player, and he had 9 sacks in 11, 12 games last year. He had 9 sacks in 9 games, and then he kind of got hurt and had a quiet 3 weeks and then was out for the remainder of the year. So I'm thinking, if he plays 17 games, there's no reason why he can't get a double-digit sack season. So I viewed the Joe Schoen giving him like an incentive-based contract, like, I'm going to build more incentives into your contract so you can earn more money. I viewed that at the time as like a good thing for everybody involved, and I don't know if Dex viewed it that way. Like I don't, and this is a theory. It's a theory, and it's a thing because it is so crazy to see not just Dex. Okay, the elbow. Okay, not being in shape. This is we've seen Dex have training camps where he hasn't been all that involved, yet still go out and dominate. Yeah. This is such a dramatic fall in production and in everything.
The one
just doesn't
thing it
make
is
sense.
not. The one thing it is not is a lack of effort. I don't think I don't think he is not trying. I don't think he's mailing it in. I don't believe that for 1 second. No. There was the play, the Brian Robinson touchdown where Deonte Banks got trucked, where behind the play, doesn't look like Dex is giving a great effort. That's not a play in, play out thing. I do not see this as like, a guy dogging it. That is not Dexter
Yeah.
Lawrence.
See that he got triple teamed on the Emmanuel Wilson touchdown?
I mean, come on. So if I didn't see it, Andre Patterson will have a video of it to show us next time he talks. So.
Oh, well, yeah, I hope he shows you, because it's it makes those linebackers look pretty bad. It makes Holland and Banks look pretty bad too. So I don't know if he'll go out of his way to show you, but
Oh, Dre Patterson would.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Right on.
Dre Patterson's about his guys.
I love it. All right, Ryan, thank you. I appreciate you, and we'll talk later, and when more people are going to get fired, either we'll have a new staff or we'll have a new everything, and then we'll talk in the winter.
Sounds good.
All right, again, I want to thank Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post for coming on the show. Make sure you go tell him that you appreciate whenever he hops on Talking Giants. He's already been on in the middle of this year, about like a month ago, wanted to get another reporter on. Ryan was available, so I appreciate him, and I appreciate you listening. We are going to be back on Friday to preview what will be a football game that the Giants play against the Detroit Lions. Detroit, I have a hard time saying that's it. Detroit, I put a Y in there. I don't hear it whenever I mess it up, but apparently I say it wrong all the time. So we'll see you Friday. Sean will be back. We'll preview the game. We'll do our segments. We'll get through another game. Hopefully Jaxson Dart will be back, which I will be excited to see him play with Mike Kafka and whatever this new version of the Giants will be. So see you Friday. Appreciate you. Let's go Giants.
It starts today. Let's go Giants! We bleed blue!